Good day, our dear students. Welcome to our English lesson for today. I hope you are all ready to learn something interesting as well as creative. So for today, we are going to discuss about figures of comparison, such as simile, metaphor, and personification. But before we begin class, let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard someone say, "She is as sweet as sugar"? Or what about the stars are diamonds in the sky? Did you notice, class, that those sentences are not meant to be taken literally because they are more imaginative? That is because they use of figures of comparison. So first, what is a figure of comparison, class? So class, what is a figure of comparison? So a figure comparison talks about the creative or ornamental use of words. It is used to make sentences more colorful, more expressive, and more meaningful. Instead of saying something in a plain or direct way, we use figure of comparison to make our ideas stronger and more interesting. Okay, class. So did you know that writers, poets, and even ordinary people use figures of comparison in daily conversations? When you say, "I'm so hungry, I could eat a horse," you are not being literal, class, but instead, you are emphasizing your feeling. Now, let us focus on the three types of figures of comparison. Now, let us discuss first what is simile, class. So a simile is a comparison between two different things using the word like or as. These words are very important because they signal that a comparison is happenings. Now let us look at some examples. She is as brave as lions. In this sentence, a girl is compared to a lion. Why? Because lions are known for being brave. Another example. He runs like the wind. Here, a person is compared to the wind because the winds move very fast. Another example, the baby's skin is as soft as cotton. Cotton is soft, so we compare the baby's skins to cotton. Now, remember this, class. If you see the word like or as in a comparison, it is most likely a simile. Now class, let me remind you something. If you see the words like or as in a comparison, it is most likely a simile. Let me give you a quick activity. I will say a sentence and you think if it is a simile. First, let's have Friends by Abby Farewell Brown. The sky is like a kind big smile. Does it use like or as? Yes, so it is a simile. Very good, class. It compares the sky to a smile using like, which is a simile that help us imagine the sky as kind and friendly. Now let us move on to another type of comparisons, which is the metaphor. So a metaphor, class, compares two different things. However, it does not use the words like or as, but instead, it directly states that one thing is another. For example, let's have Hope by Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing with feathers. Okay, so what do you think it is, class? Okay, very good. So hope is not really a bird, but we compare hope to a bird because it lifts us up and it stays with us even in hard time. So what do you think is the difference between a simile and a metaphor? So, simile uses like or as. Metaphor does not. So, it is a direct comparison. So now, class, let us move on into our last comparison, which is the personification. So personification, class, is when we give human qualities or actions to non-living things. This means we describe objects, animals, or ideas as if they can think, feel, or act like humans. For example, That Kindly Stop For Me by Emily Dickinson. So that is not really a person here, class, because we compare that to a person because it stops for us and take us on a journey, just like a polite guide. So if you ask, why are figure of speech important, class? Okay? Now you might ask, why do we need figure of speech? Okay, figure of speech make writing more interesting and better. They help express our emotions better. They also help readers imagine what the writer is describing. Without figure of comparison class, just like simile, metaphor, and personification, writing would sound plain and boring. So class, before we end our discussion, let's have a quick review. Okay, simile compares two different things using like or. Second, we have the metaphor which compares two different things directly without using like or. And lastly, we have personification which give human qualities to non-living things. So always remember the figures of comparisons as these will help us in our daily life and make our writing more better and imaginative. So I hope you learned the differences between simile, metaphor, and personification. Try to use them in your own sentences or even in writing your own short poem. Thank you for listening and I will see you in our next lesson. Keep learning and keep expressing yourself creatively. Have a great day, everyone.